Kailabreece.
Thomas Jefferson once said that government is best when it governs little, because its people can discipline themselves. Thomas Paine stated that government, even at its best state, is but a necessary evil, and in its worst state, an intolerable one. Government has always had its stigma, whether it's a monarchy, a theocracy, a plutocracy, an oligarchy, an autocracy, or a combination, or pure despotism. But before there was a government, there was little need of one. People lived in small, isolated communities. It wasn't until these large farming populations became denser and less isolated that social interactions became more and more common, at which point government, the new authority, could make laws, referee disputes, and issue administrative decisions to bring some kind of peace to the communal life. So what is the purpose of these institutional authorities? What is the role of a government? The government has seen its authority expand over the centuries to include such things as military security, economic security, environmental security, education, healthcare. These securities, or protections if you will, are the domain of a ruling direction. But as societies have become more complex, our governments have also become more complex, which gives them more power and in some cases makes them intrusive. At what point is our security no longer protecting our freedom? The proponents of more government claim that many people are incapable of taking care of themselves, and as a community, we should all get together in an altruistic style. They claim socialistic forms of government in which collective ownership and administration of the means of production is a central tenet. The government is viewed as a tool for social intervention. Such governments seek to implement welfare programs as a means, I guess, to alleviate social health and other problems that face those at a disadvantage. The opponents of that position cite the many failed socialist systems and the chaos and disorder that appeared to go hand in hand. Proponents of less government argue first and foremost that the more government one has, the less freedom and wealth will ensure. The perfect small federal government would most likely, to this group, concern itself with nothing more than foreign policy, defense, and law, leaving everything else to local governments and the private sector. More or less, the whole small government ideology is a concept important to classical liberalism and libertarianism, and even anarchism. Governments that fall into this sphere are laissez-faire style, promoting very little intervention. The opponents of those ideals foresee a future riddled with disparity, exploited workers, and ultimately two social classes, the haves and the have-nots. My question to my fellow intellectuals is this: is more or less government needed in order to secure individual freedoms? Is government about people, or is it about laws? And can government ever be just a concept of the past, meaning will we eventually evolve into a species that is capable of ruling itself without all the overhead? I say government's primary goal is to protect individual and natural rights, and not this mob rule. A good government knows that it is not simply the voice of the collective, but it is the safeguard for individual sovereignty. We must never forget what Mr. George Bernard Shaw said when he said, "Revolutions have never lightened the burden of tyranny. They're just shifted to another shoulder." So pretty much what he was saying was that tyranny will surface, so that we must employ governments to secure our rights from expected tyranny. John Locke, one of my heroes, wrote that there are three natural and inalienable rights. One being life. Everyone is entitled to live once they are born. 2, liberty. Everyone is entitled to do whatever they like so long as they don't infringe on the rights of others. And 3, property. Everyone is entitled to own all they create or gain through gift or trade so long as it doesn't conflict with the other rights. Now, whether government is big or small, it must never, ever challenge those 3 rights. Or in my opinion, the government is not governing man, it is controlling men. This is Kailabreece.